Hi there, everyone. Josh Rugger here. I wanted to give you guys an update on the latest information in terms of that winter weather potential as we head into your Tuesday. We had a little bit of winter weather today here in Northwest Arkansas and not really in the River Valley. It was just a little bit of sleet. We saw some of that mixture in the higher train of NWA, as well as some reports in Western Benton County and Washington County as well. So definitely a little bit of a precursor and really child's play compared to what we're about to see as we head into Tuesday. So hope everybody's having a fantastic evening. I see quite a few folks out there. Jeremy, how's it going? Matthew, nice to see you as well. Jeff, Isabella, Amy, going to answer that question coming up in just a few moments. And a lot of other questions here that I'm starting to see as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and go through the latest data. We're starting to get that new information in as we speak. Wanted to show you guys what we're looking at right now from the models. Also give you a preview of what we think is going to happen. I just made a snowfall map today, and I'll tell you what, it it took me hours to get this done because I was just hesitant to put, too much snow in, too little in. I didn't even think I was going to make one today, but I went ahead and did. And I think it's a very, very rough outline of what we're going to see because I think it's really subject to a whole lot of change as we go throughout the next few days. So we'll get to that in just a moment. But let's go ahead and let's get to the forecast. So here's satellite and radar right now. We do have a few showers that are going to start moving into Northwest Arkansas in just a moment. You can see that there on the back end. It's just going to move through Benton County. Could have a few sleet pellets once again, but it doesn't look like it's going to be all too impactful. High heating, cooling, mega Doppler also showing that precipitation as well. So temperatures today got up to 50 degrees in Fayetteville, and they actually fell off pretty quickly as well. We got into the upper 30s at a lot of locations, so we remain in the upper 30s right now. Taking a look at tomorrow, we could have a few light rain showers, maybe some snowflakes mixing in. Don't be too caught up in how much precipitation is showing up on this map. I don't think it's going to be that widespread. A lot of the times this could just be cloud cover, but we could see some flurries, light drizzle in portions of Northwest Arkansas. I think the River Valley stays mostly rain, and then we'll see that cloud cover clear out. And we'll see a nice day on Monday, but that's not what's the main event. What everybody wants to know about is what's coming on Tuesday. And you can see right there on water vapor, that system has now come on shore. Why is it important that it's come on shore? Well, now the models are going to start having a better idea of what's going to happen because its sector and the grid can see the entire system now. So now it can map out everything, have real time observations, and really have a much better track and a much better idea of what we're going to see. So you can see that system right now. It is a powerful one, and it's going to dig even farther south than what these arrows are showing, truth be told. The only reason I couldn't put them even further south is because if I did, then you wouldn't even be able to see them anymore because the ticker would cover them up on the newscast. But you can see there, this system is going to get down into really the Big Bend area of Texas, as far south as that, maybe even further south. It could also be further north. Why is that so important? Well, it's because the track of the system is going to determine what we see in terms of winter weather potential. So here's the European model. This is not the latest Euro, I don't believe, because that takes a little bit longer to update. But look how far south that thing digs, all the way down again into the desert southwest, into the Big Bend region of Texas. And that would be a favorable track for winter weather. Now, it does still kind of eject to the northeast a little bit quicker than maybe you would like if you're a snow lover. And we're going to have to watch that trend very closely. But I'm telling you, this thing shifts 20 miles to the north. We're talking about mostly rain. There'll still be snowfall, but it would not be very impactful, I don't think, in Northwest Arkansas. I think the higher trend would still see quite a bit. You take this thing just a little bit further south, and now you're starting to talk about even more impacts for Northwest Arkansas, even the lower elevations, and in the River Valley as well. So this is why the track of the system is so important. And Dan mentioned this earlier as well. We're not just talking about Tuesday night. We could have some more pieces of energy move throughout the afternoon. Granted, it's not the main piece of energy, but don't be surprised if we have some more snow showers Wednesday afternoon. That could provide some more light accumulation. The models are picking up on that as well. So definitely interesting trends to watch. Now, again, this is not the latest European model. I did update the low pressure track. But let's kind of map out what the GFS and European are showing, because I think there are two Vastly different solutions in terms of precipitation type, in terms of how this baby involves. So here's the European model. You're waking up on Tuesday. Notice how much slower this looks compared to maybe what we thought yesterday. 10 a.m., there's still no precipitation in northwest Arkansas. Now around 5 o'clock, at least according to the European, you're starting to see that rain push into the area. Temperatures are still way above freezing at this time. It's when we get that dynamic cooling, we get to the nighttime hours, that's when we're going to start seeing that rain transition to a wintry mix. Here's something very important to note as well when you're considering snowfall totals. The column of air above our heads is still going to have to cool off all the way, right? So this is going to start off once it starts transitioning from rain to predominantly sleet. So we're going to have a period of sleet in northwest Arkansas, and depending on how quickly that column cools, which could be very fast, considering these are going to be some very heavy precipitation rates. I was looking at the latest soundings. Dan and I were looking at them very intently. It does look like we're going to start off as a wintry mix, but very quickly transition to snow. See that low pressure track right there? That would favor some pretty heavy snow bands in NWA. But with the temperatures right at freezing, maybe just a hair below it, these are going to be some fat gorilla flakes. Full ape mode is what I say for this system. And then it swings out of the area by the time we get to Wednesday late morning. But look at that. Some more moisture, some more energy behind the system. It's not going to be nearly as heavy, but the models are starting to pick up on that. And I do agree that we are going to see some more snowfall as we move throughout Wednesday afternoon that could provide some more light accumulation. That's the European model. Here's the GFS. Now, if you're looking on social media right now at the latest GFS, it's still pumping out these crazy snowfall totals. I'll tell you what, it's not happening. It's not happening unless something drastically changes in terms of the temperatures during the day. Here's the reason why the GFS is pumping out crazy snowfall totals. First of all, the system is a little bit more progressive. It moves in a little bit quicker. But look at that. It's already showing snow in northwest Arkansas around the Fayetteville area and Bella Vista area. Not saying that couldn't happen. However, the problem is our temperatures are going to be sitting at 37, 38 degrees while this is going on. That's not going to stick, folks. We've still got to get that dynamic cooling. We've still got to have that surface cool off enough to where we can start seeing that snowfall really start to pile up. The problem comes from the GFS model, and you're looking at these snowfall totals and looking at the 10-to-1 ratios and things like that. The problem comes from the fact that the GFS is going to accumulate all of that snow. And so that's why you see those crazy snowfall maps on social media. Look at that. 5, 6 o'clock, it's showing all snow, even as far south as the River Valley. Again, not saying that couldn't happen, but it's probably not sticking yet in the River Valley, at least. In northwest Arkansas, we're starting to get some snowfall really ramping up. Now, the precipitation shield on the GFS is humongous. Look at that. That's almost covering up the entire screen. This is pretty heavy snow, and I personally think the GFS is doing a good job in terms of the precipitation shield, because I do think it's going to be very expansive and very widespread, and we're going to see some heavy snow bands if the track is favorable, right? It all depends on if that track goes along the Red River, doesn't eject too far to the northeast, and also doesn't go too far south. If it goes too far south, then, we still get snow, and we probably would be a bit cooler as well, but we wouldn't have those heavy bands of snow move through. So it's really you got to get to the right in the middle, in the sweet spot, in order to get a big snow with this system. And it does look like the track could have that. So you see early Wednesday morning, there's that wraparound precipitation that I was talking about earlier that the models are starting to put into the precipitation type, which is good to see. Wouldn't be surprised if that continued Wednesday evening as well before that system finally pushes out. Okay, here's the thing, folks. I'm about to show you my snowfall map here that I've got. Keep in mind, this is very preliminary. This is subject to change, and a lot of factors are at play here. So here it is. I'm going to move myself out of the way. This is what I currently anticipate based on the latest model trends we're going to see Tuesday evening to Wednesday afternoon. This is going to change significantly over the next few days. I can't stress that enough. But you can see that the bullseye for heaviest snowfall is in the higher terrain of northwest Arkansas. as well as the higher terrain in the river valley and the Ouachitas. So Boston Mountains, Ouachitas, that's going to be the favorite spot for snow because that column of air can cool off quicker in those areas. Far northwest Arkansas, I kind of drew a line here and I went back and forth on it. Really from Gravette to Bentonville up to Pea Ridge north, that's where you could see a little bit more in terms of snowfall because the temperatures will be a little bit colder to start. And so the transition will happen sooner. And I also anticipate there will be less in the way of sleet. So that's why you see that 4 to 5 inch plus amounts around the Bella Vista area. Still pretty good snow amounts in Fayetteville as well with 2 to 4 inches. And again, that could go down or go up with more model data. But we take a closer look here. Now, take this with a grain of salt too. What I'm showing you here is basically the maximum amount of snow we could see if this system really overperforms at this current time. Up to 8 inches in the higher terrain of northwest Arkansas, up to 6 inches around northern Benton County, northern Boone, a little bit east of there towards Eureka Springs, and then Washington County, most of Washington County, a little bit south of there, around the Bobby Hopper Tunnel area, up to 5 inches. Again, that's on a track that favors the heaviest snow, and also allows for us to see that banding. That's what we're looking at for northwest Arkansas. River Valley, up to 3 inches around the Fort Smith area, up to 4 inches in that higher terrain of the Ouachitas. The reason why those snowfall totals are a little bit less as well in the Ouachitas compared to the Boston Mountains is because of the track of the low pressure system and the potential for the dry slot to come into play. Right now, I don't think we're going to see that dry slot in northwest Arkansas with this system. Unless this track goes a little bit further north, or not even a little bit further north. It has to go a lot further north. Not only would we see more in terms of rain, we'd also see that dry slot start to come into play. However, I don't think that's going to happen. But of course, now that the thing's on shore, that the system's on shore, we could see potentially that change. So that's what I'm looking at right now. That's my preliminary snowfall totals. Again, I'm going to show the wider view again here so everybody can see that. And I'll try to answer some questions in just a moment. I also want to show some data as well and geek out maybe a little bit. Don't want to be on here too long. I know it's a late night right now. We're at 11:09 p.m. Dan Scoff's going to be here tomorrow. He's going to have the latest information as well. So we're going to keep you posted. We're going to keep you updated. I just wanted to do this Facebook Live to kind of give you an update on what we're thinking, which really it hasn't changed too much at all right now. And I'll also show you the latest model details in just a minute. So let's go ahead and get to some comments. I'm going to keep this snowfall map up here. So I'm going to start from the top. Sharon, very good question. Will the snow clear out by the weekend? I think it will. I think we're going to have a pretty good snowpack in northwest Arkansas on Wednesday, potentially Thursday as well. So that's going to keep those temperatures down both of those days. Not a lot of sunshine Wednesday, so not a lot of snow melt expected. Thursday, we'll get a little bit more sun. Friday and Saturday, high temperatures are going to be way above freezing, upper 40s to lower 50s, and then we'll see that snow really go away. Let's see if we can find some more questions here. Let's see. So personally, what are your thoughts? Do you think it will go more south? Matthew, good question. Honestly, at this time, I think the models are doing a really good job with the track. Do I think it will go more south? It definitely could. If it digs further south, south of the Big Bend region, if this thing goes into Mexico, all right, and it starts tracking along there east, it's game on at that point. So really, water vapor is going to tell the story, right? Once we, look out the window, per se, that's when we're going to really find out what this system is going to do. All right. One scenario, if the storm bombs while passing over us, I could see that doing some crazy stuff. Definitely a very powerful system, Joshua. Definitely a system that could cause a lot of issues. It could throw some curveballs at us. It could also bomb out, meaning that it could bomb on us and not produce a lot of snow. And this is why it's such a challenging forecast. There's a lot of things that are up in the air right now, a lot of details that we still got to iron out. So that's why we are all over this. Dan was on this thing, last week. I mean, you look at some of his tweets. I mean, he was talking about the colder air coming in January 10th. I mean, so we knew that it was about to become an active pattern. This is by far the biggest system we've had this year in Northwest Arkansas. Maybe the GFS is picking up the snow cover west of us, and it may be picking up that colder air. I don't think it is, David. That's the problem, because you look at the soundings, which I'll look at in just a minute. It's not. It's got almost the same profiles as the European. However, it's pumping out that snow, and it's pumping it out as snow, and everything that it's showing that's falling, it presumes it's sticking, but it's not. If it's 37, 38 degrees, it's not going to stick. It will cool the atmosphere, and as more snow falls in the upper levels, mid levels, and lower levels, then we'll start seeing it stick. That's not going to happen until the evening on Tuesday. We've had our biggest wet snows at 35 to 37 degrees. Randy, likely wasn't sticking at that point, but you're right in the sense that as that dynamic cooling took over and as that system really churned that energy in, that's when we started seeing that temperature cool off. And with the gorilla flakes that we're going to be seeing, yeah, definitely could have a big time wet snow. Will we have a definitive forecast late Sunday? Likely not definitive, because there's a lot of things that are going to be at play here. And really, truth be told, it's not going to be definitive until the system comes in as we go throughout the overnight hours, Monday night and Tuesday morning. Really, things are going to be evolving as we go throughout the day on Tuesday. So yes, we'll have a much better idea late Sunday, but definitive, no, I don't think so. Let's see here. The run-to-run consistency has been quite impressive, Josh. I've been very proud of the models. Look, even though the GFS is churning out these crazy snowfall totals, it's consistently showing snow. It's consistently sticking with its track. And that's all you can ask for right now with the models. At least they are helping us out at this point. Is this icy too or just snow? Good question, Sarah. Doesn't look like we're going to have a lot in terms of icing. We will have a period of sleet, likely, in most locations. But it doesn't look like that's going to be lasting very long. And it also looks like the freezing rain potential is slim to none as well. So not worried about ice, just snow, but it will be a wet snow, and it will cause impacts Tuesday night into Wednesday morning and even throughout the day Wednesday into Thursday. So definitely not expecting ice, thankfully, which is great. Yes, there is a chance, David. There was another comment earlier saying, is there a chance for it to go south? There's just as good of a chance it goes further north. And if that happens, that's less snow, that's more rain, and that's less impacts. So there is also that chance that it goes north. So definitely something that we're going to have to watch. What time Tuesday does it start? Wendy, great question. I do think rain's going to be moving in right around 2, 3 o'clock at the latest, probably around lunchtime at the earliest. So in that time frame, ballpark 12, 3 o'clock, it's going to start off as rain. Then we're going to see that wintry mix start to come into play 6, 7 o'clock. You're heading home from the Razorback game. Things are going to start getting dicey, right? At 8 o'clock, that's when the game should end against LSU. Now we're starting to talk about heavy, wet snow really cranking up across Fayetteville. So in terms of precipitation, Wendy, lunchtime, right, is the earliest, but it won't be very impactful. Impacts start coming into play as we head throughout the evening hours on Tuesday, overnight, and then Wednesday morning as well. So I hope that answered your question, Wendy. Snow really gets cranking right around 7, 8 o'clock on Tuesday. Is there any more chance of snow after this one? Great question, Trey. Temperatures are going to warm up as we go throughout late next week. So I don't think the weekend system, there is some indications that we'll see a system come through over the weekend. I think that will be all liquid. But the colder pattern could continue. It does look like that could potentially be possible, though it's a little bit up in the air. The models haven't gotten a good agreement yet on what's going to happen. Watching the AO very closely, it does trend negative as we go into February, which is a sign that we could have colder weather continue. And the active pattern is going to be here still because the atmospheric river broke down on the West Coast. So that's going to be swinging some systems through our area. And until that breaks down, we're going to continue to see the potential for precipitation. If we have the cold air in place, that means winter weather is in the cards. So definitely, I think there will be some more chances for snow after this one as we go into February, Trey. Absolutely. Well, David, that's a very good point. It did get colder the last time that it was forecasted. I remember back in November we did have temperatures that were a little bit colder, but still above freezing for most of those events, so we didn't have any widespread impacts. Definitely not the case for the December system because we projected temperatures to be well below zero with that one, and that happened, and we didn't get a whole lot of snow because the track wasn't favorable. I do caution though I do have caution in this way of thinking. I should say that a little bit better, because not every system is the same, right? You're not going to see, a system move through 3 months ago be the same as a system that moves through now, right? I think the temperatures being colder are the chances there. There is also just as good as a chance that the temperatures are warmer as we go into Tuesday morning, right? Warm air advection. That's what some of the computer models are showing in the soundings. That would mean warmer air, and that would mean a less chance that we transition to snow as quickly. So I caution thinking that way, David, only because not every system is the same. And even though maybe the last time something was forecasted, it was a little bit colder, does not mean the same thing is going to happen. It could be warmer. We've seen it happen before. It's killed systems before, and then we end up not getting a whole lot. So definitely a good question, but this is a different system. This is it's got its own energy. It's got its own potential. We'll see what happens. All right. Thunder snow. Troy, great question. I think thunder sleet's in the cards for sure as that banding really starts to get going and we see that convective banding in Northwest Arkansas. However, thunder snow, maybe. I think it's more likely we see thunder sleet, though, as that transition starts happening. We really get that heavy precipitation moving through. The heavier the precipitation, the more likely you have for that thunder, sleet, thunder, snow. And I think the heaviest precipitation will be with thunder, sleet. All right, let's see here. Alex Hall, slight instability. There you go, Troy. That answers your question right there. You get a little bit of instability, then you get the thunder, sleet. We saw that happen, by the way, February 2021, right, where we had that huge thunder sleet event. We had that instability nose in, and we ended up getting thunderstorms. So that was a pretty amazing event there. Let's see. Any more questions here? So 5 p.m. hour traffic on Tuesday. Amanda, it's going to be dicey because if the system overperforms and we start getting those heavier bands in earlier, then we could have problems rush hour traffic at 5 o'clock. I would lean more towards it not being too bad yet because temperatures are still probably going to be a touch above freezing. There will probably be some heavy precipitation falling. I don't think it will be impacting the roads yet, though, at the least. I think 8 o'clock, you're heading home from the Razorback game, that's when things start getting a lot more dicey. Hey, Sydney, I really appreciate that. It has been a very challenging forecast. I've been here 6 months now. This is definitely one of the most challenging forecasts I've ever been a part of, and very happy we've got the best in the business, Dan Scoff, here to guide me through it, mentor me through it, and he's doing a fantastic job on this. Like I said, he's been all over this system, and he continues to be all over this system as we speak right now. And we're going to continue to work hard to make sure we've got the best forecast so we can keep everybody informed. But I really appreciate that, Cindy. Really means a lot. Really, really means a lot. Let's see here. I'm just making sure we don't get any more questions. Okay, Sarah, this is a good question here. What kind of temperature is the storm going to bring? So we start off above freezing, right? As we go throughout the day Tuesday, precipitation falls, temperatures fall. Here's something that's going to be very interesting to watch. Look at the models, right? They're probably showing temperatures in the upper 30s, lower 40s for Wednesday. Not happening if we got snowpack on the ground. Because if you got snowpack, those temperatures are cooler at the surface, right? That snow allows for temperatures to be cooler at the surface. So I personally think if we see the snowfall totals like we're expecting here, and I can show you that here right now, If we get snowfall totals like this, Sarah, that would mean more in terms of snowfall amounts, or that would mean more in terms of the colder air happening on Wednesday, and thus those temperatures would be in the low to mid 30s, and we would see not a whole lot in the way of those warmer temperatures. But good question, Sarah. Very, very good question. Robert, power outages. I don't think power outages are going to be a big issue with this system. Me personally, because we're not going to see a lot of ice. So that's definitely a good sign. All right. Let's geek out a little bit, right? Because, I know it's getting late right now. I know a lot of people ready to hit the sack. Let's geek out for just a few moments here. So let me pull up the models data here, and let's see what they're showing. Let's see what the GFS is showing. Let's see what the European is showing, which I don't think the European's out yet, but we'll look, and we'll see what the latest trends are. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to this window, and let me know if you can see that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put myself here. I don't want it to be that big. Hold on. Stand by. That's definitely not right. There we go. Now you can see that better. All right. Let me know if you guys can see that all right. Just want to make sure you can see what's going on. All right. So here's the latest GFS. This is a 00Z model that was just released, right? So we're going to take a closer look here at what's going on with this system as it's swinging in. Oh, hold on. I got to log in here real quick. There we go. All right. So let's look at this wider view first. So there's that little wraparound moisture that we get tomorrow. Nothing major. Here comes the system digging in. Woo, man, that low pressure gets pretty far south. And there you go. Now, it's still showing snow happening at noon on Tuesday. That's not going to happen. So these snowfall totals are going to be out of whack. I already know. Then we get to 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. It's still showing heavy snow. Again, even if it is snowing, it's not sticking at this time. So that's something that's very important to remember about the GFS. It just overdoes things a lot. But look at that track of the low. Woo, man, that would favor pretty significant snow. And if that low stays on that track, now I'm thinking it's sticking at 6, 7 o'clock. If it stays on that track and we go throughout the overnight hours, we get some banding, that would be some pretty hefty snowfall totals for Northwest Arkansas. That is for sure. So let's take an even closer look here. And let's go to winter weather. Now, I'm going to show this, right? I'm going to regret showing this, but I'm going to show it anyway. Don't get caught up in these accumulations, guys, because I want to make a point here. This is what the GFS is pumping out in terms of snowfall total at a 10-to-1 ratio. Again, this is not going to happen if temperatures are above freezing during the day. And it will be above freezing during the day. So you take this and you say, well, look, 19 inches of snow, but that's not all sticking. That's why we use snow depth, and that's why it's the best way to look at things. So now we go to Wednesday afternoon, and there you go. That's a lot more realistic as we're waking up Wednesday and going throughout the day. So this is why my snowfall map kind of reflects that too. So you got the higher terrain of Northwest Arkansas with those 6, 7 inch amounts, 5 inches around the Fayetteville area. I do think there will be a little bit more snow in northern Benton County. However, that track of the system stays a little further south. Maybe it does favor a more southerly track. There's the Ouachitas getting those higher snowfall totals, and I do think there will be some snow in the River Valley as well. That's why we look at snow depth over the total snowfall accumulation. Now, I'm interested to look at this too. First of all, yeah, the European's not updated yet. Let's look at the latest NAM model. Okay, so it's got that bullseye of higher snowfall totals in the higher terrain of Northwest Arkansas, but it does appear that track is a little bit more northerly compared to the GFS, which, again, the GFS model is more than enough south. In fact, it may be a little too far south for significant snow in the Benton County area. But the NAM model, if you like snow for most areas, that does look favorable, at least in terms of the track. But watch this. We go to the 10-to-1 ratio, and it shows 10 inches of snow everywhere. That's not going to happen because temperatures are just going to be too warm. Let's look at what it's got for timing here. So it does have that wraparound moisture. A low pressure ejects off to the northeast and northern Mississippi. This would be a perfect track, folks. If we had a track just like that, just like what this model is showing, that is pretty far south, though. If we had a track like this, though, this would mean significant snowfall for Northwest Arkansas. Absolutely. And remember, the precipitation shield is going to be even bigger than this, too. In fact, I honestly think the NAM's doing a great job of it. Look at all that snow that's back in southwest Oklahoma that has to get through the area. We don't have to worry about that dry slot because it's in southeast Arkansas, and that would allow for more significant snowfall. So definitely, yeah, Jeremy. GFS is definitely drinking a little bit too much. Definitely something that we're going to have to keep an eye on for sure. I already have my milk, bread, eggs, and toilet paper. Amanda, I mean, you're all over it right now. I respect that. I respect that 100%. And look, you may need the milk, bread, and eggs. We may need to bring that out for this, to be honest. Yeah, it is crazy to see that, Josh. Absolutely. I'm just shocked that the GFS is just continuing to stay the course, right? It's doing a great job in terms of the track. I think it's doing a great job in terms of picking up on a lot of smaller scale details. I'm actually really, really impressed with the GFS. I'm not impressed with the 10-to-1 snowfall ratio that it's showing. Absolutely ridiculous. Let's look at the Canadian model too. Ooh. Okay. Honestly, though, I think this is very realistic. What the Canadian model is showing, it's going to start off as rain. That's what it's going to start off as. And you'll see the European do this too, I'm sure, when it comes out later on tonight. It's going to start off as rain. We're going to have that dynamic cooling. And then it's going to start changing over to snow. Higher terrain first. And then we get those big bands moving through. So we move throughout the overnight hours with a favorable track for snow, though this one's pretty far south. So we'll have to watch that. But there's that heavy snow band moving through. We're not getting dry slotted. Snow continuing into Wednesday morning. That would be perfect for significant snowfall amounts. Let's see what it's pumping out. We're looking at the 10-to-1 first. So it's got, 8, 9 inches showing up on the 10-to-1. But remember, the ratios are going to be more like 7-to-1. So that'd be more about like 5, 6 inches, which would be pretty accurate, to be honest. Unfortunately, it doesn't have snowfall depth, so I can't look at that. Again, though, I think that's pretty realistic what the Canadian model is showing. I think all the models are very realistic right now. And yeah, I think they're doing a really fantastic job. One thing I haven't looked at yet is the vorticity. Let's look at the vorticity. Let's see that spin in the atmosphere. So let's look at that right now. I mean, that is a great track. And maybe a little bit further north than I thought. So close. It is so close, guys. I mean, it is. Woo! It's really close. Notice how it rides along the Red River. Still Wednesday overnight, so that would be fantastic. And then it kind of ejects off to the northeast pretty quick. So that would be something to watch. But again, if it stays along the Red River Wednesday overnight, we're getting a good amount of snow. That's for sure. Let's see what the GFS is showing, because the GFS, it was showing that system maybe taking a good track as well. So this is let's look at this. Let's look at the trends, the model trends with the GFS at during the overnight hours on Wednesday with the vorticity. Let's do a model trend loop. So this is the GFS a model for the same time Wednesday, and this was on this model run was on Thursday. So you can see here, it's got a really progressive system. It's got the main piece of energy already too far off to the north. But as time goes on, it has a slower and slower and slower solution. And it continues to trend a little bit slower. Actually, look at that. These were all, so let's look at all the models today from the GFS, every single run. This was the first model run today at 00Z, 06Z, 12Z, 18Z, and now. I mean, that is very consistent. That is incredible. Incredible consistency from a model that tends to not be very consistent. So that's a pretty interesting trend to see from the GFS there. Obviously, we can't look at the NAM trends really yet, but it's sticking with what it's got. Maybe a little bit further south in the previous model run. So that's interesting to see. So we'll watch that very closely. Again, though, we don't have the European model yet, so we can't look at it, but definitely very, very interesting stuff going on. Let's see how the Canadian's done. Obviously, it can't go out very far, so I mean, it's basically the same thing, though. Very rare to see, folks. Very rare to see. Definitely interesting stuff. But we'll geek out some more tomorrow. Dan Scoff will be in studio. He'll have the latest model details. He'll answer all of your questions as well. We'll update that accumulation map. We'll show it one more time here, just in case anybody just came in. We'll show that real quick, and then we'll call it a day. But let's see if we can find a few more questions, and we'll log off. I'll end this thing at 11:38. How about that? So let's see if we can find any more questions here. Better have backup propane just in case, Donna. Never too bad to be overprepared. I say always be overprepared rather than underprepared, because you don't want to be caught sleeping. And this system could throw some curveballs. That's for sure. So definitely a good tip there. No eggs, no bread. Just stay home with what I got. Denise, hey, chili. This will be a great time to make some chili. If you got some chili in the pantry, this would be a great time to get some of that. Sit inside and watch the beautiful snow. Billy, good question. Chances of it banding like 4/12 of 2011. We did have 2 feet of snow with that system. Here's an important difference. The snowfall ratios with that system were a lot greater. So we're thinking snowfall ratios at about 5 to 7 to 1 with this system that's swinging through. Very, very low ratios, really. That system already had cold air in place, and the ratios were more of like 15 to 1, 20 to 1, right? So that allowed for that snow to pile up a lot quicker. We already had the cold air in place, like I previously mentioned, and that allowed for us to really overproduce. This system, we got to get that dynamic cooling first. We've got to get those snowfall ratios back to closer to 10 to 1 for it to really start piling up. So do I think it's going to be another 2011? Heck no. Do I think it's got the potential to cause some big impacts? Heck yes. So good question. Good question. And I think that was a great question, so we could talk about the differences between 2011 and this system. Let's see here. What's your gut predictions? Well, Rusty, here's the thing. I used to love snow until I started working in weather. Like actually working in weather, like sitting here at the desk and forecasting. Because this is pretty challenging. I'm going to tell you right now, full disclosure, this is one of the toughest forecasts I've ever had in my life. Just from the fact that you change that track of the system by a few miles and everything changes. And so, gut prediction, what you got on that screen right there, Rusty, is my gut prediction right now. Very preliminary, I know. And it's a cop-out answer too. But once we get close to the event, I'll start talking about some real gut predictions. 2011 all over again. I was joking with Dan about that, and he is having a good laugh. But yeah, gut prediction, whatever's on that map right now is what I think is going to happen. When will the roads start being bad? Tuesday night, 7, 8 o'clock. Things are going to start getting dicey. So don't be out on the roads early Wednesday as well, because we could still be having some snow. They'll be on the roadways, and Wednesday, probably just forget about it. Thursday, we're going to start seeing some substantial melting on the roads. All right. A few more questions here. Okay, Beth. Clarksville always gets shorted on totals. What would we need to What would need to happen for us to see more snow? Beth, if you want more snow, root for a more southerly track. The further south that track is, the better chance Clarksville, Arkansas has of seeing some more snowfall. The further north it is, the less likely we're going to see significant snowfall. Clarksville is kind of in the battle zone right now. If it takes a further south track, we could get a little interesting. If it takes the current track, which the models are showing, I don't know if it'll be quite as much. Debbie, that's awesome. 2 pups to meet the snow. My puppy Harper, last year, I got her in January, and we had all those snow events. And she is A-okay in the snow now. But it was really funny because we had that big event that happened in February. And I like looking back at the videos, and she's like hopping around in the snow because she was so tiny. She was like jumping through it. So send in some pictures, by the way. That's a good little thing that I want to mention real quick. Send in some pictures. Send them some videos. Northwest Arkansas Weather Authority app is a great way to send that. You can send it directly to us. Weather@knwa.com is another way to give us those snow photos and videos. We'll show them on the news, and we'll show them on the Facebook Live as well, so that you guys can see it. Because I think it's always nice to see what you guys have out there. I also want to see your accumulations as well. Send in sticking that ruler in the snow and show us what you got, because it does help us get those official totals as well. So definitely looking forward to seeing some pictures and videos. And Debbie, good luck to the pups. Hope they have an amazing time in the snow. Let's see here. Just making sure we don't have any more questions here. I've seen some funny stuff here. How cold will it get during the snow? Right at 32 degrees, Diana. In fact, it will start snowing before it gets to 32 degrees, but the temperatures are going to stay around that point throughout the entire event. That's why it's so dicey. All righty, guys. I've been on pretty long now, so I'm going to go ahead and call it good for the night. Dan Scoff's going to be in this chair tomorrow. I'm going to also be keeping an eye on everything. He'll have an updated look at those snowfall totals, the latest timing, the latest tracks, the latest precipitation types, all of that tomorrow. We'll have another Facebook Live, of course, newscast starting at 5 o'clock on KNWA. And other than that, thank you guys so much for coming to this Facebook Live. Have a safe rest of your night. God bless, and enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody. See ya.